Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is the Monday before Thanksgiving live stream. You know, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. We all are. But right now we're going to talk about classic cars. And if you're new to the channel or the live streams, we try to focus on, cars made in the 60s and 70s, some 50s, not too much in the 80s, but 60s and early 70s probably our bracket that we try to focus on. We try to talk about Mustangs, Camaros, Plymouths, Studebakers, Corvairs. Doesn't really matter. If you have a question, I encourage you to participate, ask a question, and we will try to answer it for you. Or if you have a subject that you want to talk about, doesn't necessarily have to be a question. You can be some other ideas you may have, or something that just interests you, and we can maybe talk about that. We'll leave it wide open. See how that goes. But if you do participate, of course, we do offer this bell as a reward system. So if you ask a question and somebody answers it, they get the bell, even if it's me. Sometimes I give myself a bell. But if not, if I can't answer it, usually there's somebody over there in that chat box that has some great information. We usually get a good group of guys in here and some girls. Could be anybody. Who can participate and help out with all this. But it is time to do the thing, and that is where we see who is here. And right off the bat is Terry Keithley. Evening all. Please like and subscribe for Barry. Happy Thanksgiving, Barry and all. Yes, I'm looking forward to this Thanksgiving in particular. I'll just say that. It's going to be a good Thanksgiving. But we're celebrating it. I'll get into that more as I go forward. But anyway, Roger checking in from next door. Hope all are doing well this evening. Yes. Glad you're here, Roger. Brian, hello, everyone. Hope all are having a 7-day. A 7-day? I'm not sure I get the reference there. Maybe I'm missing it. Robert, hey, all. I'm here. We can start now. Yes. Glad you're here, Robert. Brian saying, hi, good to see you. So he's talking to Robert. Yeah. Remember when craftsman meant something? And Robert's pointing out that everybody's a maker now. They're not craftsmen anymore. Ray Buckman. Here I was trying to get my last video watched, rushing to get here, and I had plenty of time. Evening, all. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Brian sucks being old. Yes. Crash Rider. Hello, everyone. And greetings from Southern Indiana. Everyone be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Yes, by all means. Troy. Good evening, all. Hope everyone is doing good. Yes, hope so too. Brian, shouldn't we wait till we see the show? You can chat. If you're here early, you can chat. That's great. That actually gets people interested, I think. Wally, good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. Glad you're here, Wally. David Outdoor 74. Hello, Barry. Just getting over the C word. Had it pretty bad. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you're recovering from that. More on that later. David Outdoors formulas. Formulas? Lost me there. David, hit the like button. Yes. Ray Buckman. Did they actually make cars after 74? That's a good question. I mean, I'll give you a bell for that. They did. There were a few cool cars made in the 70s. Not a lot, but there were some. I mean, you look at the Mustangs and how they turned into little Econobox cars, right? But the Camaro, I mean, they kept the body, at least the body, going up until what, 81? Wow, think about that. 81. So in 82, they went to, I believe it was 82, they went to the wedge body, right? How long ago was that? That's almost 40 years ago. Y'all are getting old. Oh, man. 40 years ago. 40 years ago, they had the wedge body Camaro and Firebirds come out. Okay. David Outdoors, happy Thanksgiving. Yes. Dave Conville, good evening, all. Glad you're here. Mike Wincho, hi, everyone. Mike from Cleveland, Ohio. Glad you're here. David, finally getting my taste and smell back. Yes. It's funny. My wife became sick a month ago, right? Maybe longer. I don't know. Nothing bad, like having the flu. And she was concerned she might have the C word. So we went and we did a home test, came up negative. Went and had the test done at the pharmacy. That came up negative, but she is still struggling with taste and smell. Go figure. Jerry, good evening, all from Middle Tennessee at the Money Pit. Yes, glad you're here, Jerry. Raymond Stanley, hey. Hey, Raymond. Thanks for being here. Arden Frey, good evening, everyone. Bob Shoemaker, made it in for my nightmare in shop just in time. Okay, well, we may have to give us some more information on your nightmare. David, looking like I've had to salt the roads tonight, Barry, getting snow off Lake Ontario. Woo. Oh, I'm all for you having snow. I don't want any snow, but be careful. Yeah. I'm no need for snow here. Bob Knoll, good evening, everybody. This is Bob up in Detroit checking in. Glad you're here, Bob. And Mike, happy Thanksgiving. Awesome. Yes. Raymond. Hey, did you take the I'm happy with that? Did you make the I'm happy with that t-shirt yet? Actually, I have not. I think I did one version. It's funny you mentioned that because I was just looking at some of that stuff right before we started. I actually made, I think, some sort of version of a shirt on Teespring with the I'm happy with that. But and I'm going to just pop this up here because if you were referencing this shirt, I have not made that yet. It's still on my radar. There's two versions of that. There's one's a little scruffy, and this one is clear. But I'm still thinking about doing that. So glad you brought that up, Raymond. But as of right now, I have not. But now that you mentioned that, maybe I just should go ahead and do that. David, you were saying you were talking about lots of vehicles, so I threw in Formula. Oh, okay, yeah. We're talking about all kinds of different things. And Robert, Dr. Feelgood is playing on radio, and it was the 40th anniversary remix. Oh my goodness. 40 years? Dr. Feelgood? Please, no. That can't be right. That can't be right. Classic rock. Is it like the oldies channel now that we're considered those songs are oldies? I don't know. Raymond says, okay, thanks. All right. I'm glad you brought that up though, Raymond. I mean, if I didn't already, I'll give you another bell for that. David, my formula is flooding. Big time Barry. Haven't run it since I did that live chat with you. I can't figure it out. So it's okay. Flooding. So you put in the original setup, right? The fuel injection deal. So I mean, without knowing any symptoms, it's hard to say. What could be causing the flooding? I'm assuming you still have the a TPI. Okay. Well, something's not working. I mean, there should be. I'm just trying to envision what's going on with it. But I mean, is the fuel pump continuing to pump when it shouldn't be, or a regulator has failed in some aspect? I don't know. That's one of those things where it's like, well, need more information to try to help out. Ray Buckman says elevator music. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, but I have been on elevators and I'm listening to a song and I'm going, oh yeah, that was what? It was like a Prince song or something that they did a remix on. And I'm thinking, no, you don't do that. You don't do that. David Outdoors, my MT2500 saying high numbers for mass airflow sensor. Okay. Yeah, I was just dealing with stuff like that on the that Mazda 3. And I think we've come to the conclusion with some assistance, in my case, because it was reading lean off bank 1 at idle. And we're really thinking that it's the rear main seal that is letting air get into the system somehow. A gentleman was helping me out and was telling me that he talked to somebody who works on these cars, and they're like, yeah, rear main seal. So not something I'm going to end up fixing because I don't want to. I looked at the video to change out the rear main seal on a Mazda 3. Nope. It looks like it's a one piece. And what does that mean? It's, not two halves, not like the old school stuff. You're going to have to, you'd have to either pull the engine out or pull the transmission out, pull off everything, the flywheel, flex plate, whatever, to get to the back of the engine. And then, of course, drop the pan, pull the seal. No, I'm not going to do all that stuff. Let's see. Robert, if it's the early version with the mass airflow sensor, check the cold start switch and injector. They can stick and cause it to flood. See? There you go. There's a good response for David from Robert. Thank you, Robert. Troy, I had good news. After 5 months, the other half of my cow showed up along with my other parts. It's a good day. Awesome. Good to hear that. Terry, Barry, the Gremlins have left my snap-on welder for the time being. I think they went on vacation. Oh, okay. That's a good sign. I mean, I guess if it's working, that's a good thing. Give you a bell for that. David, I deleted the 9th injector. Okay. Jerry, is the core support supposed to be straight between the engine aprons? Yeah. When you're straight, you're talking like a 90-degree, basically. Yeah. It should be straight across. Shouldn't be any variation there. Yeah. So it should be straight across. And Robert, those mass airflow sensors were hot wire style and very finicky. I don't know if that's how you spell finicky. I do like that spelling though. Wells made a version that had modern guts, but they didn't make it for long. Okay. Now we have to look up the word finicky because I don't know if that's how you. That's a funny word to think about. Finicky. Say that a few times and then try to think about how you spell it. But I don't know if that's how you spell it. David Outdoors. Yep. You're welcome. Okay. So I was mentioning, of course, that Thanksgiving is coming. And there is oh, wait a minute. Hold on, Robert. David Outdoors sent me an email with some info about it. I used to work on those a lot and put on my El Camino years ago as well. Okay, so we'll have to get connected. I don't know if, Robert, you want to share your email or not on here. You can. If not, then both of you send me an email and I'll connect you together. How about that? Jerry, so no curve on the core support toward the firewall. No. It should be flat. It should be straight across. I've got, can't get it down right now. But yeah, it should be straight across. There shouldn't be any curve. You think about it, if you have a radiator or anything in line, your radio, if you look down across the radiator, it's going to be square. It's not going to be a curve that comes back towards the radiator. It's got to fit. Everything's got to be parallel, let's say. Brian, are you judging us on spelling now? Maybe I should go. No, I'm not judging at all. I just can't think of how you spell finicky. I mean, we've used the word. How often do you type it out? That may be the right way. I don't know. I really don't know. I was trying to put it together in my head. I don't know. Bob, my nightmare is my cylinder head resurfaced machine crashed. Oh. Yeah, that's not good. That's not something you want to hear. Okay, so Robert and David, one way, send me emails, whatever. We'll get you connected. You can send it to theinfernalcraftsman@gmail.com, I guess. Right? I guess that's what it says. Finicky. See, there we go. Thank you, Ray. Not that it matters. No, it doesn't matter. But it's not a word we use all the time, right? I mean, not something we type out. We say it, but I never really thought about how do you spell it? I've never written the word finicky. Just so you know. Terry Keithley, call 9 Lives Morris. Call 9 Lives Morris. Morris the cat? Call 9 Lives Morris. Okay. Anyway, we're trying to, discussing the idea of Thanksgiving and stuff like that. And, and all the time we've lived, probably in all my life, we've celebrated Thanksgiving on Thursday. It's just been the norm. Well, this year we decided not to. The reason for that is our youngest son who is also the middle child, youngest son, has graduated from firefighter training, and he is now an advanced EMT as well. And he started working today. Today was his very first day as a legit full-fledged, fireman. So with that, what that means is he has to work Thanksgiving. With the schedule they on, they work one day off to work one day off to whatever, however that scheduling goes. So he has to work Thanksgiving. So we're not going to do our Thanksgiving on Thursday. We're going to do it on Wednesday. So that'll be a complete change. It's the same thing, right? Just because everybody else is doing it on the same day doesn't mean it doesn't change what you're celebrating. So we're going to do that on Wednesday. And that'll be good. We went up on last week. We were invited up. He works on the north side of Atlanta, and they have the ceremony where they graduate them from firefighter school, and they give them their helmet, which is really cool. And then we were able to go into the fire station and take pictures with some old school fire trucks and stuff. It was really cool. And I'll say this: my youngest son is. I don't know anybody who is. You talk about being like in the public servant or service type of realm. He actually went to school to be he wanted to be a police officer. So he's got a degree in criminal justice, and he did go through training to be a police officer, and he was a police officer for 6 months, and he realized that's not his thing. Sometimes things just aren't what you really thought they were going to be. So he decided to not do that. Well, in the meantime, he was also in the National Guard, Army National Guard, did that for like 6 years, and decided I'm going to change that too. So now he's in the Air Reserves, Air Force Reserves. So he has now served as the National Guard, Air Force Reserves, as a police officer, and now as a fireman. I don't know how many more people you can, or how many more things he can do that are in the public service realm, So I'm pretty proud of him for all that. He made his decisions, what he wanted to do, and I'm hoping he sticks with the fireman thing. I really do. Yes, it is fantastic, Ray. Thank you. Jack, hey, Barry, still here drilling spot wells. Okay. Yeah, there's probably just a few thousand to go. David Outdoors heading out, Barry. Happy holidays to you and your family. Happy holidays to everyone here. Ciao. Yes. Happy holidays to you as well. The other thing, I'm working on Jade. I've got a lot of stuff filmed that I have to edit down. And the difficult thing is the difficult thing with what I'm doing is it's one of those fabrication jobs to where you have a vision, what you think is going to work, and you try that vision. And I filmed all the process of what I built, and it didn't work the way I expected. It did the job. It would have worked fine, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So I had filmed all this stuff, and then I decided I've got to go a slightly different direction. So I already have that stuff filmed, and I'll probably go ahead and process it. But I did a follow-up on that to where I modified the piece that I made, and now it works better. And so now that part is complete, let's say. And that is in mounting the radiator, getting the radiator sit down low enough inside the core support, in the engine bay, and also the clamps on top. They're going to, hold it in place. So today I started working on the um, water pump and trying to get it out and, test fit some things. Now, as I said before, the earlier water pumps, the water neck, of course, goes to the passenger side, and the later one, the 70, goes to the driver's side. And it's working out. It's going to work out. But what I found is, you again, you have an idea and you think this is going to work out fine, and then you realize there's some things that have to change. A couple of those things: the bracket for the alternator on the 68 version water pump, it just has a mount point on the water pump, and then the bracket it's got a joggle in it, right? So that it offsets slightly when it mounts. The 70 version water pump doesn't have that same drop, that same depth. It's actually recessed. And so now, if I wanted to use that bracket, I either have to make a bushing so that I can fill that gap, or I have to modify that bracket or find another bracket. So these are little things that you have to, you don't think about, but it's part of that process. Like I said, test fit, test fit, test fit. So that is one issue that I had. Another issue is the fuel line. Now, the fuel pump that I have on there, I don't know what brand it is. I know there's an input on the near the firewall, or near the left frame rail, let's say. Fuel line comes in, and then it comes out opposite side, and it goes up. So it goes up behind the AC compressor, over the top of the water pump, and around the distributor back to the carburetor. Well, what I discovered was, since the water neck is going to come out on that side, that hose and that fitting are in the wrong location. Not that big a concern. What I had to do is take the fitting and turn it down instead of up. And now the hose is going to go underneath the water pump, or the fuel pump, kind of go underneath it and still follow basically the same course. So these are just some things that you have to consider. Another one is the timing marks. On what I have, the timing mark is on the driver's side. If you go to the other water pump, you lose that. So you have to come up with something on the passenger side. What's interesting is the harmonic balancer that is on my car must be for, because a friend of mine built that engine. Okay, just put it that way. So the crank he used must be for a 70 and up or something, because there are timing marks already on the balancer, but he put extra marks on the other side, on the driver's side. So what that means is I already have the marks that I need on the other side. I just need to put in an indicator. So I'm going to take a little piece of metal and make a pointer so that I can point at 0. But that's, just some of those things that you have to think about. And of course, I still have to solve the whole wiring of the relay into the fans and all that sort of thing. But it's going to be okay. It's coming along. Brian, not that it matters, my reference to 7 is about an old movie where some kids were looking for the meaning of life. In the end, it was 7. Okay. So 7 is the meaning of life. All right. Well, I mean, I don't guess I guess I haven't seen that movie. I guess I haven't seen that movie. So you have to give us the name of that movie so we know. Roger, Douglas Adams said it was 42. So 42 is the meaning of life? Is that what we're saying? And Robert says, what was the question? It wasn't really a question. It was more of a statement. He said, hope everyone is having a 7-day. 7-day. So I'm unfamiliar with the movie. Ray, did you figure out the rattle in the speakers? Not yet. I'm getting there. It will be resolved one way or another. but I'm getting there. Jerry, I put a straight edge in the corner in the core support, was about 3/4 inch toward the firewall. I straightened it out, but I'm thinking I should replace the core support. Thoughts? Well, um, I'm thinking it's going to be some work, but if it looks okay, um, maybe let it go. I don't know. But verify. I mean, verify Robert, whoever else is building a 65 or 66. If you can pull up look at your core support and make sure it's straight. But I'm pretty confident it's straight across, because I was just looking at the convertible car up there, and I was thinking about that because I had done a bunch of modification to that to make the radiator fit, and I remember it was straight across. So, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt to change it, especially if it's got some wrinkles in it, because you get that top section. If it does bow and you try to straighten things out, did it create any wrinkles, or odd shape? So it may be worth it. Brian, well, I feel stupid. Don't feel stupid. You don't know what it is. What the movie is. Let me know what the movie is. Roger, don't ask difficult questions, Robert. Yeah. I don't know what the question was. Oh, what was it? What was the subject? I get it. Okay. Bad Harry, hi all from snowy with black ice night in Canada. Okay. I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous at all. I want no snow, no black ice. Dealt with that stuff. In fact, I've probably talked about this one time before. Speaking of black ice, when I was going to aircraft school, A&P school, I was also A&P school was in Pittsburgh, and my fiance, now wife, lived in Johnstown, let's say, and my parents lived about 20 miles away from there. And this is up in Pennsylvania, and it's always, in the winter we would get snow and ice and black ice and all that stuff. And one night I was driving home from my fiance's house, my wife's house, driving home, and I didn't realize that the road was icy, like ice. And there was snow on either side of the road, big embankments of snow, right? And the area that I was approaching, it was a long straightaway, and I was doing like 55 miles an hour, doing great. And where I was approaching the road, it was a right-hand turn. So I know you're looking at it. I'm doing left hand, but it was a right-hand turn, long sweeping right. And as I was approaching that turn, all of a sudden I see people and I see cars all stopped in the middle of the road. And I'm doing like 50, 55 miles an hour. And I'm thinking, what in the world? They were about maybe a quarter mile ahead of me, maybe. And I hit my brakes. And I'm driving a little Dodge Colt, like an 81 Dodge Colt. That's the car that had the dual shifters on. It had high and low range. It was pretty cool. 4-speed with a high and low range. Anyway, I'm approaching these people. And, if I hadn't, as a kid, experimented with driving around and doing crazy stuff or even driving stock cars and, learning how to control a car in many different ways, I would have probably killed somebody. But what I ended up doing, I hit the brakes and the car just started sliding. And almost instinctively, again, this is one of those things where you experience of driving and doing different things. I slammed that thing into third gear. I pulled the parking brake and I got the car to drift sideways. And then I stood on the gas and I drove it into the snowbank at about 50 miles an hour. The car went into the snowbank, bounced and rotated out. The front end hit, the back end hit, the front end hit. And then I ended up back on the road and stopped. And I still was like, my mind was not connecting the dots that the road was icy. It was just kind of didn't work in my mind yet. And I'm literally about, I don't know, maybe 80 feet away from these people that I was trying to avoid hitting. And so I go to step out of the car and I put my foot down, and then I realized it was ice, and I fell onto the ground. So I'm sure these people thought, this guy's drunk, he just wrecked his car and he's drunk. I get out of the car and I start yelling at them. So what are you people doing in the middle of the road? And they're all like, well, it was icy, so we stopped. I was like, what do you get off the road? You're going to get killed if somebody doesn't know what they're doing. So I go up to the front of the car, and it's got snow packed in the grill, the headlights, and I took and dug out all the stuff out, and I ended up driving through these people, and they said, where are you going? I said, I'm going home. And I ended up driving. There was nobody else on the road. It was all ice. I just drove, and it was all downhill. Like Pennsylvania downhills. I drove all the way to the bottom of the hill, this was miles and miles later, not a car in sight. I get to the bottom of this long, dangerous hill, and I'd been using the edge of the road, the gravel and stuff to stay, from sliding off. And I get down to the bottom, and here's a salt truck, and there's like 50 cars lined up behind this salt truck. And I get down to the bottom, and the guy waves me over, says, where did you just come from? And I told him, I said, I was all the way up in blah, blah, blah. He said, how did you get down over the hill, over the mountain? I said, I just was careful. He was like, looking at my car, looking at me. And now the car wasn't even, other than the snow all over the place, it didn't hurt anything. That snowbank took all the abuse. But, just one of those things where black ice, it can get you. And it's not just, I probably just got lucky that I knew, at least had some concept of how to avoid, running over people. All right, let's see here. Terry, is the thing still on the lift? It is, but hopefully not for much longer. Robert, let me grab the camera and see if the computer and shop's ready, and I'll go out there in a few minutes. Okay. So I actually had Troy send me a couple of pictures. So we're going to download those real quick. Let me get to my download area and see if I can't pull those up so Jerry has a reference. Okay. So Troy sent me some pictures. Here's one. Wow, that's a very short opening there. I see a cowl and I see a core support. So that car is really short. No, I get it. Yeah, that is straight as can be. And there's another shot with the radiator in it. So Jerry, Troy says that's the original core support. So I'm going to say, Jerry, that it should be straight all the way across. All the way across. Thank you, Troy. Wait a minute. Give me a better bell. That was better. All right, let's see here. Dawn, Betsy's core support is almost straight. Yeah. Well, don't get caught up in it. You'll be swapping it out. You know how that goes. Brian, if you take the measurement of 7 and divide it by 42, it'll give you the answer. So it's what, 6? The answer is 6? Is that what we're saying? Rick Stevenson, hello everyone. The movie was Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. Okay, thank you, Rick. Thank you for that. Arthur got to do the same thing with a Chevy 5.3. I'm not sure what that comment was. Dawn, that's why I like manual steering. You can feel the road get slick before starting to slide around. Yeah, that's true. Yep, thank you, Troy. Appreciate that. Yeah, I got him, Robert. But I thank you for, helping out. Because sometimes just scumbags show up and they want to let their presence be known. But that's okay. Got him out of there. So anyway, working on Jade, trying to get the water pump in place and the all the accessory stuff. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal to get everything. Once I get everything trial fitted and test fitted. One thing I did realize was I'm changing out the water neck, and I'm putting in one that has a fitting in it for the temperature sensor, as I talked about last time. This little water temperature sensor rated at 165. And I was a little concerned because the water neck, the bolts that go in the water neck, are actually behind the flange for the timing cover. One of them. Now, I say behind, it's behind it. Like you couldn't put a socket on it if you wanted to. You can get a wrench on it. And I was thinking, oh no, please don't tell me I have to pull this timing cover, because I was taking the bolt, I got it loose with a wrench, and I was thinking, oh, this has to clear, and it did. Thankfully, I was able to slide it out, lift it up, and get it to clear that timing cover, because that is not something I wanted to get get that far into doing that much more. Jerry, I thought so on the course sport. I may change it out. Thanks, Troy. Yes, thank you, Troy. Bad Harry finally got house and cars ready for winter and got the Mustang uncovered and started working on it again. Cool. Come on, Belle. Speaking of stuff, right? You're working on the car. I wanted to bring up that I have not heard from David and Cheryl in a while. Normally they come in here and either, David's going to work and Cheryl's here, but I haven't heard from them in a while. So I hope everything is okay with them. And the other one was the guy from England. I think maybe he shows up on Thursdays. Haven't heard from him in a while either. So hope everybody that normally is here is doing good. But people come and go. Richard, is it possible to swap the motor mounts without pulling the engine? 289 on a 65 Mustang. I don't have an engine hoist, but I have a blown mount on the passenger side. Is it possible? Well, yeah, but not without an engine hoist. I don't know how you're going to pull that off. I don't know how you're going to pull that off. Now, I will say this. I'm not guarantee that it's the best idea, but I've actually used in when I was working in my house garage, I took I punched a hole through the ceiling and put a 4x4 in my trusses and slung a chain over that 4x4 through that hole in the ceiling. It's still in there today. And I used a come along to do engine swaps. I didn't have a hoist, but it's possible. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying it's an option. The other thing may be, as I see Ray say, you could use a floor jack and a 2x4. And what he's saying is put at least a 2x4, if not a bigger piece, a 2x6 or something. Again, this is an option. You put it underneath the wheel pan. Now, what you can do though, that crossbar or the cross member that is underneath the oil pan area, if you need to, you can unbolt that and get that out of there, and then put a 2x6. I would use a 2x6, at least, maybe even 2x8, and put it underneath the pan. You want to spread that load across the pan and jack it up. And then you can, without that bar in the way, you can get access to the motor mounts. So that's probably the easier thing to do, honestly. Yeah, so even Ray is saying I blew up both of mine in 65. That was my solution. And Dawn, you can jack the motor up, floor jack under the pan. Yeah, but definitely have a block of wood under there. So that's a great idea. I hadn't really thought about that. When I suggested the hoist deal, the cars that I was working on, primarily them were Chevys, and they didn't have that much access underneath with the big chunky cross member. So with the Mustangs, you have a lot more access. Phil checking in. Hope all is well. I'm glad you're here, Phil. Glad you're here. Yeah, because I used to use. I mean, I used to pull engines out of uh, several different cars with that hoist that I had up in the garage in the house. And it was funny. I had somebody come by the other day, and they, I have this chain hoist up here that I've used many times, and I actually have a probably a better version of that right now, because what I used up here, I took 2x6s and I screwed them together on two trusses that were next to each other, and I created a flat plane, like made a shelf, let's say, and then I took two 4x4s, put those together on top of the 2x6s, which are screwed to the trusses, and then I hung a chain off of that, and that's what the hoist operates off of. And he was like, "Aren't you worried you're going to pull the roof down?" I said, "No, it's pretty strong." It's pretty strong, and I've lifted up a lot of stuff on that hoist, and it hasn't moved. Jerry at Richard, yes, it is possible you can use a 2x4 between fenders and jack with a piece of wood. Use a belt sling to hold the engine. 2x4 between fenders and a jack. Okay. All right. Bad Harry had a great day Saturday, finished installing the steering modifications to connect a rack and pinion, then modified the firewall, installed Hydro Boost, and modified brake pedal, and then installed the power steering pump on the Coyote, sent a couple pictures. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right, let me download a couple of these from Bad Harry. Boy, there's not much room in there at all with that configuration. Ooh. Let me see if I can get those pictures brought up. And one more. Okay, so wait, let me get rid of that. So you got the steering. Let me pull off the comment here real quick. Yep. So you've got it's like a double U joint plus a carrier. Yeah, that's a good idea. And then man, that's a tight fit. That's a tight fit. I mean, if you ever have to do any work to that, you're going to have to pull the master cylinder to work on the engine, right? But I guess that's the price you pay for that stuff. Oops. And then this image, power steering setup. That looks great. I know you're looking forward to seeing this car going down the track. I'm sure you are. Brian, a question for the room. I am doing a T5 swap. I have the Z-Trans, which is supposed to be the heavy version. I only plan to make about 330 horsepower with my 302. Sounds safe. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. But I may be wrong, but I'm going to say yes. I would say you're pretty safe with that. I mean, 330 horsepower. I don't know what they made, in the Mustangs or whatever the T5 came out of. I don't know what they were rated at, but my opinion is you're going to be safe. Anybody else have any input on that? That would be great. Let Brian know. Richard, thank you for the info. Did you ever figure out what you were going to do about the electric fan connectors for Jade? You had mentioned just cutting them off. Yeah, I'm working on that. And I guess I got to think about. There's multiple ways to think about this. I like having connectors. I like having actual plug connectors. Because then if you ever decide you're going to do some maintenance, you unplug some things and pull them out. So those connectors are designed to have a ground and power. So the grounds, if I did cut them off, I would merge the two together and create a ground connection, which isn't so bad. That would be a simple, just find a bolt or something and put them under. But the powers, as I was mentioning before, I may end up adding a second relay to it. I've got the one relay, and of course I want matching relays. I don't want to have one with one set of wire colors in it, and then another one with a whole different set of wire colors in it. Where this one came from, I don't know. There's no manufacturer's info on it. So I really don't have, that information. I guess I could probably get another one of these from Alloy Works, or I order a kit that has both of them in there. But but I'm going to try to resolve those things. If I were to hardwire everything, well, then you run into problems. You got to take something apart, then you got to unwire it. I don't want to do all that stuff. So I'm going to try to be a little more proactive in what I'm going to design here. Don Brian, well, depending on how you drive it, regular driving, no problem. Drags or track, not so much. Okay. So that's a good perspective. That's a good perspective. Jerry says it appears the Z transmission is good for about 300 horsepower. That seems like a low number. I mean, low as far as what's the tolerance on it, right? If they tell you that, there's usually a plus or minus type of tolerance. But 300 horsepower just doesn't seem like that big a number. Now, it may be for that generation of transmission. But I don't know for sure. But thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. And Brian. I'm sorry, and Don. I see Brian reading Brian in the comment. Richard, I found a connector website where you can get pigtails for all different types of connectors. I use it to find a pigtail for my Dorman third brake light I plan to use. It was auto illumination. Okay. Thank you for that, Richard. And I may look into that. Because I do like having actual connectors. Angry Andy, evening all, late to the party today. News this past week is I picked up a 390 C6 from a 67 Fastback. Will go into my 67 Coupe project. Good deal. That'll be fun. Dawn, World Class T5 is good for 320 foot-pounds of torque. See, that's a different number. That's a different number because horsepower and torque, we know, are different things. So really, it probably comes down to what's the torque rating. Probably, my guess. I could be wrong. That's something I've been thinking about as well. I talked to Roger about this a couple weeks ago. What the plans are going to be, or what I may do with the Red 68, because it's really an open book. It's a plain car, V8. It was a V8 3-speed manual car, and I have some options to consider, and one of those may be putting in a 5-speed, just because. I think it would be kind of cool to have the 5-speed in that car instead of the 3-speed. Oh, okay. So Jerry's saying he misspoke about. I should have said torque. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So torque is probably the better number we need to know from for the conversation, rather than horsepower. Just guessing here, but anyway, the red car, it's going to need work, obviously, but it's kind of the clean slate thing where it's like I could do whatever I want with it. The Jade car, I kind of wanted to keep it more in the original realm. And I did. The body is nothing's modified, like doesn't have any fender flares or anything like that. And of course, the converter, or the 67 Coupe that's going to become a fastback, I'm just doing the sheet metal work on that. and then it's it's going to go do its thing somewhere else. But the red car, I'm really toying with some ideas as to what I want to do with that, and I may have to get with. I know Harvey has done a conversion with the T5, and I just think it'd be kind of cool to have a V8 5-speed in that car. But the other idea is what am I going to do for suspension? What am I going to do for brakes? What am I going to do? How am I going to build the car? Because I mentioned before, I'm not worried about painting it red. I don't want it red. Honestly, I have nothing personal about red Mustangs, but I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Typically, you look at if you see an ad like an eBay or whatever, you see a 65 or 6 Mustang, and a lot of them are just red, even though it wasn't original color. People paint them red, and they do that because it's eye catching, and it's but it's no. I'm just not a fan. It's like the '57 Chevys. I've gone to car shows where every one of them was red. I'm just not interested. Just me personally. So this car, I don't care that it was red. It's going to be a different color. And it may end up being a flat gray. It may end up being hot rod black. I don't know. It's going to be something that's just going to hit me, and I'm going to go, that's it. That's the color. But I'm also thinking about ideas of like Don at Don's Manufactory doing all the custom reinforcement that he's done on his Betsy car underneath the fenders and the firewall and different things, reinforcing it, make it stronger. Now, I don't plan to drag race. I mean, drag racing is cool, but I've never done it, and I don't know that have any interest in doing it. What I might be interested in is doing more of a road course type of thing, or the rally course, whatever they have. I'm not talking about the dirt stuff, but I'm like in parking lot road course, whatever. So if you're going to do something like that, the car needs to be stiff. It needs to have a good suspension under it. So there's lots of things going through my head on that. But I think it would be fun to build something along those lines. Another thing that I'm considering the idea is having a goal. Yeah, autocross. Thank you, Don. Having a future goal for the project, like to get people interested, depending on where I am on the timeline for building stuff. Because I got to build the Camaro. Camaro's got to get in here and get that thing together, and then get it gone. And then the 67 Coupe has to get worked on. But somebody has suggested that I do kind of an end goal timeline. Like, I want to build this car for cruising the coast, right? I'm going to give myself this much time to get it done. That would be, kind of a cool thing to put a timeline on something, and then build it so that I could take it somewhere and people could look at it and go, I watched this being built and it was pretty cool. So those are some of the ideas that I've kind of rolling around, and I'll be looking for input from people, different suspension ideas and stuff like that. But I don't plan to do any drag racing. Brian, yes, good point. I won't be racing it. I think I need to consider torque more. Thanks for the input. Yes. Bad Harry. It also makes a difference if you're talking about rear wheel horsepower or engine flywheel horsepower. That is true. That is true. Magnolia. The cops used to pull my red Mustang over often. It stuck out like a sore thumb. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just not a fan. Honestly, if I see typically if I see a red Mustang or Corvette or even Camaro, I don't really, I don't want to look at it because it just doesn't interest me. Jerry, I'm doing a T5 for my 66, and the rear end is a 373. I'm hoping the RPMs will come down from 3,600 to about 1,800 at highway speeds. That would be beneficial. That would be beneficial. Yeah, autocross. And then Bob, GM has a red color as name. Pull me over red. I'll bet. Ray says what Don said. Yeah, autocross. Brian, Jerry, could we speak by phone? Well, you probably could. Yeah, okay. So Jerry, Brian, I think I already have your email. I think. Jerry says, Brian, yes, I'll send Barry my phone number and we can connect. So again, if you haven't already, two of you send me an email and I'll put you two together. All right. Just in case, Brian, send me another email. Jerry, send me the information. I'll get you two together. Ray, Barry, did you do stock suspension on Jade? Because that would have to change. I did. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not doing, Jade is not getting, is done. I'm not doing any more, really to Jade, but the red car, current red car, it may get some mods. It may get some mods. I'm all over the map right now in my head of what I want to do with that car. Well, yeah, I swapped out my 411 to 373, and yes, RPM drop was substantial. I now do 70 miles per hour at 2100 RPM. Wow, that's cool. That's good. Brian, thanks. And then Wally says in fifth gear. Yeah. Yep. Jerry, I have a 2009 red Shelby Cobra, and the cops always give me a second look. Yeah. Well, they're eye catching. It's kind of like here's a little tidbit of useless information. If you'll notice, like, there are signs on the side of the road. You have stop signs. Yeah, it's red, but there are other signs for like school zones and stuff where they have this like yellowish green color that is supposedly one that really draws your attention whenever you're driving by and you see that yellow green. It's supposed to like pop out at you even more. Now, I don't plan to paint a car yellowish green. I don't want to have a car that's going to be popping, on going down a road. I built the Model A with that bright blue color on purpose so that it could be seen, because it's a slow car. It's more of a safety kind of approach. But yeah, I'm not doing the red stuff. Leland, yeah, well, red sells. It does. It does. I just doesn't appeal to me. Just doesn't appeal to me. Ray, when I bought the Corvette, it had been color changed. I'm working to put it back into the dark green that it's supposed to be. See, I like that. I like that dark green. I've always been, I've always liked green. I have, but not like day glow green, darker forest green, stuff like that. I just really neat to see cars in those kind of colors. Rick Stevens, you got to get back to work. Okay, glad you're here, Rick. Brian, thanks, Barry. Yes. Dawn, Betsy does 1900 RPM at 60 miles per hour with a 300 rear and 24.3 inch diameter tires. 72 in overdrive, I guess is what you're saying. 72 in overdrive. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Ray, okay, I thought you were talking about Jade. No, I'm talking about the red, the red 68 that I picked up. I guess it was earlier this year. This car. And that car, no engine with it. It's going to need some sheet metal work, floor pans. Pictures probably make it look better than it really is. Both quarters have kind of gotten beat up. It was a V8 car, even though it has a 4-lug rear end underneath it. And you can see it's got the side marker lights that I hate. Nothing personal, Wally. I'm just not a fan of those the side marker lights. So I've got a bunch of pieces that I can use on this car left over from Jade, and like I said, it's an open book. I can really go just about any direction I want with this car. It's not going to matter. Robert, well, I could paint the 66 in stock color beige. Yeah. No, you can't. No, no. Do not. Do not paint it beige. That's a negative. That's a no for me, dog. Yeah. Don't do that. Unless you really, really want to, but I doubt you want to. Dawn saying 0.72 in fifth gear. 0.72. Oh. And Wally, 0.72 refers to gear ratio at final drive. Okay. Yeah. I got it. Ray, yeah, no to beige. No, not to beige, but yeah, no to beige. Yeah, beige is not an option. No. No. Wally, I know it was ordered with indents. Once welded in, I was committed. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It is, honestly. But we talked about this. That quarter panel, it's sexier, for lack of a better term, without those lights in it. Just that smooth transition. Just a nice look. Dawn, I like Chantilly beige. I'm not sure what Chantilly beige is, but I'll take your word for it. I'm just not a fan of beige. There was a friend of mine has a former coworker has a 70, I think a 71 Chevelle, and it was an original. It's a plain Jane car. There's nothing special about it. V8, like a 307 or 350, I don't know, automatic. I think it has a bench seat, so it's not like it's an SS or anything like that. But it's what word would I use? Beige tan color, and the paint on it's fantastic. My buddy had actually painted the car for him, but it was a solid car. There was like no work to do to this car. It was all original, rust free. It was basically this kind of almost like a scuff and shoot, honestly. The paint still looks amazing, but it's a beigeish tan color, I guess. And they're just, I mean, he gets lots of comments on the paint, and there were people that are excited. Like it's like the color, it's like the color of these little key tags, kind of the manila folder. Yeah. And it looks cool. And I'm glad he kept it the original color because the car deserves to have that original color. But again, it's not an SS or anything like that. And so Don saying that was a 65 convertible color, Chantilly beige. Yeah, it's funny how the weird names they've come up with for naming those colors, right? Robert, better than these new cars that are painted primer gray from the factory. Wait a minute, Robert. Wait a minute. Don't hate it. I actually like those. I do. I like that gray. That it looks like primer, yeah. But I like it for some reason. I think it looks cool. Maybe it's just me. Ray, when I was a young man, some time ago, there was a 65 fastback that was painted a champagne color. That was sweet. Okay. Yeah. Dawn, painted my van Angora beige. It's a Lexus color. Okay. And Tiva, I don't know how to say that. Good afternoon from Tahiti. I will tell you this. I'll give you a bell. We've never had anybody here from Tahiti. So you're the first. So you get a bell for that. Glad you were here. I'm not sure what your interests are as far as, cars or whatever, but welcome. Welcome. Glad you're here. Brian at Ray, my Fairlane is, I guess, champagne. I guess that's champagne. Yeah. Ray Buckman says it's a good color, Brian. Tiva, thank you. You're welcome, Tiva. I'm guessing it's pronounced Tiva. And Brian, I hated it till I realized how it would look with some black. Well, that's another thing. There are certain colors we all know they need to have some sort of accent color, or the chrome. Different things will set them off. But I'm not a fan necessarily. Like I've already said, red is okay, but it's not my thing. Beige or whatever. What hurts those cars, I think, the most is when it has the off green interior. Some sort of weird greenish looking interior in a beige car. It's just like, did they give you this car cheap? Because the colors were such a bad combination. I don't know, but we've seen them like that. It's like, what were they thinking? And some people ordered them that way because they liked it. But I'm sure they weren't thinking down the road they're going to resell this car one day and it's going to be appealing because of this weird kind of color combination. The classic stuff is, red car has black interior. White car. Oh, you've seen them with white interior, black interior. You've seen red with white interior. Of course, blue. I think your options, blue, white, black, those sort of things. It's when it starts getting off the rails on these weird seafoam colors and stuff like that in an interior. Just doesn't work. At least not for me. Terry, I'm painting our 46 sedan 77 XR7 Dove Gray with light gray interior. Now, that sounds interesting. Dove Gray. So that's got to be I'd have to look it up to really see that, but okay. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just the beige thing. I get it though. There are some colors on certain cars that look fantastic, and then there's other combinations that just don't work. They just don't work. But that's what makes the world go round, right? Certain people like certain colors or certain looks or certain, there's Ford people and Chevy people and Dodge people and all these different things. And, I'm a car guy. I don't try to push too many cars out of my vision, as far as a manufacturer or whatever. Being at the junkyard, growing up with cars all around me, to me, they're all metal. They all have engines in them, start and drive and do their thing. But some people are just, I only like Chevys. I only like Fords. Mopar sucks. Whatever, all over the place. Brian says, you lost me at XR7. Just kidding. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Those colors you could associate certain colors with certain years of cars or certain manufacturers. And so that's probably, if you go to look for like the Jade color, one year it's Gulfstream Aqua, the next year it's Aqua Blue Poly. It's not even, they change the name and make different things. So it's good to have a reference year or car model to go with it. Bob, I had a 66 fastback with that champagne with light blue metallic stripe. Okay. I guess I could see that. Ray, my 2005 F350 was that dark gray metallic, which I really liked, but every manufacturer has a version of that color. Yeah, there's tons of that. It's also like the, what did they call that color? Like GM, the Chevy trucks and GMC trucks. I think I had two of them the same color. It came out in 99, 2000, 2001. I don't even know what the name of it was. It was I can't say gray because it wasn't really gray, but it was that color that it seemed like most of the trucks were painted that color. And it was a cool color, but it was kind of overdone. It was a little bit like lighter than my shirt, kind of grayish. What was the name of it? Anyway, the nice part about that truck was you could drive it and get it dirty, and it looked the same. It didn't really affect it, getting dirt on it. It was like, it looks pretty much the same color, so not going to worry about it. Yeah, pewter. Pewter is probably the best word. Yeah, kind of a pewter silver. Yeah, yeah. I had at least two of those trucks. Um, Nothing. I mean, nothing wrong with the color, and it was easy to put an interior. The interiors were all gray. Just kind of all went together. Doyle, my Cutlass was white with blue vinyl top, white with blue vinyl top, and light blue interior. I'm going with Eastwood Burnout Blue Metallic. My Cutlass was white with light blue vinyl top and light blue interior. Yeah, I can picture that. That's okay. Yeah, I can picture that. Brian, well, it's all green. Yeah. You talking about the color choices? Well, they give them different names. Yeah. Robert, kind of a pewter, yes. And Ray, like a gunmetal gray. Yeah. Gunmetal, yeah. I think that there was a specific name for it. I don't know what it was, but they oh, I can't think of the exact name. But it was a pewter something. So Angry Andy, I don't care what color my build turns into. It will stay ugly and semi-prime, but it will be fundamentally sound and built for pro touring. No original interior or trim, just straight badass. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That sounds good. That's another thing I was considering. We haven't had Nick on here yet. I don't know if Nick's listening in, but I know he had talked about his 68 doing away with the trim, at least around the windshield, and also removing the rain gutters. I'm not against that. I'm not against that. I mean, there's some coolness to the smooth look of the car. Um, the glass I have to really think about because you know the glass. He was talking about grinding down the glass to make it fit because he's doing away with the trim and he bought a piece of glass that's slightly larger, and so you really have to make that fit just right, or it's not going to look right. The trim um, covers up any kind of gap you may have. But if you're putting in a piece of glass that's going to the close to the A pillars, it's got to be right. And Brian, Jade is green. Sorry to bring it up. Yes, yeah. But again, technically, I'm going to say it's green, but it's aqua, right? Aqua. So Gulfstream Aqua is the keyword, and then Aqua Blue Poly is the other year. And there's probably other names for it, other years for it. Yeah, Brian. Yep, gotcha. Ray, although it looks blue on screen, like the Corvette color. Yeah. Yeah, it does. With this camera, it does come up as blue. Tiva, also gray. Yes. Bob, I have always wondered when they are going to run out of color names. Yeah. Well, that's. I remember at the body shop, we had all kinds of uh, just crazy names that they would come up with. Um, Robert sent me a picture of his car, his A pillar, and that is definitely some sort of beige, which isn't the most exciting color, but I never really thought about that either. Like back in the day when they were selling these cars, did they charge more for different different colors. I never really thought about that. Maybe somebody has some insight into that. I was just kind of looking here on my bench. I had a color chipbook, but I don't know where I put it. I was just going to look at some of the names on that chipbook if I had it readily available. Oh, there it is. So let me get that, pull this back off. Focus. And Wally Dodge had the best names: Plum Crazy, Panther Peak, Hemiorge, Sublime, etc. Yeah, they did. It was really cool. Some of the stuff they had come up with. Now, this chipbook that I have, this is RAL K7. This is not American. This is a foreign chipbook, and I can't, like a lot of these words, I can't tell you what they are. It's spelled completely different, right? But it says Capri Blue or Capri Blau, CAPRI BLAU, Capri Blau. This one says Ocean Blau, OZEAN BLAU. This one says Wasser Blau. I don't know what that means. WASSERBLAU. This is Nacht Blau, NACHTBLAU. And then Fern Blau, FERNBLAU. So, we talk about are the names we've had on these things, but all of these in this color palette, let's say, all of these in particular, all four of these, all say Blau, BLAU at the end. So we're having a little bit of a foreign language lesson right now. Cobalt Blau, Taubenblau, Himmelblau, Verkersblau, and Turkish Blau, Graublau, Azerblau. Just some crazy names. And then these other ones are all, I guess rot is red. So it's got Reuben rot, Purpur-rot, wine rot, Schwarz rot. I have no idea. Angry Andy, yeah, Windows trim will probably be painted to match body, so no chrome, but yeah, dropping all the other trim like the rocker molding. Yeah, that's what I did on Jade too. I did away with the rocker molding. Just wasn't interested in having it on it. Just, I don't know. Feels kind of a little bit chunky at times, having too much on there. Ishmael. Hi, sir. What silicone do you use for door seals? Also, how much do you need for doors and trunks on the Mustang? Well, not silicone. I don't use silicone. I use an adhesive. I can show you what that is. This would be, yeah. The stuff that I use is this 3M black super weather strip and gasket adhesive. I think I have this listed. I think I have it listed on Amazon. I may not for sure, but the part number is 08008. So I can type that in at the bottom here. That's super weather strip and gasket adhesive. So if you're putting in, door seals, trunk seal, all that stuff, and you might get away with one tube of this. I've got videos on all this stuff as well, showing this in operation. Normally, you would apply a thin layer of this, like a bead, and kind of just almost rub this on from the tip, and then apply some to where you're going. Give it a few 30 seconds to a minute to like kind of dry, and then put the two together and it'll stick. So good question. Terry, Dove Gray was actually a 1938 spring color from Ford. And now that color, I'm not against that. I think if I remember correctly, what my mind is kind of envisioning, I'm not against that color. I like the gray stuff, I do, but some of the weird colors they had just don't fit me very well. Ray, I agree. 68 Mustang, even my 74, they have some cool names for color, except the green I mentioned. Yeah. Brian, Ford called it resale red. Yeah. Yeah. Doyle, I always liked the Mopar color names like Plum Crazy. I did too. And they were cool. I mean, those cars, those colors, they popped. They popped. Ray, Wasser is water. Okay. Well, I kind of thought that, but thank you for that. And Dawn says Nacht is night. Okay. See, we're all getting some language lessons going here too. Always trying to help. Robert, okay, the computer's up and running and ready for an invite. All right. Cool. We're gonna get Robert on here. Give me just a second. So I got to do this. Copy that. Go to here. And all right. We'll see if we can get Robert on here and he can show us what's going on with his project. Brian, hey, junkyard story, please. Let me think here. I may have to mull over some of the junkyard story stuff. What would be a good one? Let me think about that a little bit. I'll have to think about that a little bit. But give me a minute. Let me see what we have going on. Yeah, I sent that link or the information for that adhesive. So if you need that, Ishmael, there it is. Nick, talk about him, and he shows up. Glad you're here, Nick. We were just talking about you grinding on that glass. I don't know how that worked out, or if you got it together or not. Give us an update. Let us know if you got the glass ground down. Andy, does anyone know who sells steel cowl hood for 67 Mustang? I see a lot of fiberglass ones, but that's about it. I don't know if anybody does. Honestly. Anybody have any input for Andy? By all means, let him know. Dawn says, hi, Nick. Yep. Okay. Brian. Barry, just noticed no net problems for a time. Yeah. It seems to be working right now. I know I had problems Thursday. It kept wanting to cut out on me. And we said maybe it's because users are eating up all the data, whatever. But yeah, it's been pretty good. Knock on wood. Hope it stays that way. Mason, hey, JJ's Garage. I see you got your thing on your garage door. What is that? A blanket? Yep. Yeah, that is the poor man's insulation. These are, where am I pointing here? These are actually moving blankets from Harbor Freight. Cheap moving blankets, nothing special. And what I do, my door is steel. And if you look up at the top, you'll see these are magnets. See if I can. These are magnet bars, like from Harbor Freight. They're about that long, and are the ones you could put your wrenches on them and stuff, so you don't lose them. That's what's holding up the blankets on the door. So if I need to, I can pull those down pretty quick and get the door open. But that helps keep the heat inside the building. So I sent Robert a link. I don't know if he got it or not. We'll find out. Bad Harry, did you get the fastback conversion parts lined up yet? No, I have not. I don't know what's going on with my contact. I've sent him a few messages, and he hasn't responded. So I don't know what's going on just yet. I will get it figured out, one way or another. Angry Andy, on my door tag, the color code is W8, Clearwater Aqua, Springtime Yellow. Do you know how that would have been laid out? Base aqua with yellow stripe. My paint is so bad I can't tell. That I don't know about that. Clearwater Aqua and Springtime Yellow. So it had two colors on it? Or is it talking about the Clearwater, like the Springtime Yellow was the interior color? Because I know I've looked up, if you go to decoders, right, you can punch it in and it should give you a sequence, but maybe that doesn't give you the information you're looking for. Okay, so Robert's getting set up. Nick, I just got the glass 3 days ago. I did some grinding on a junk piece of glass with a diamond drum bit for a rotary tool, and it hasn't been too bad. Good. I was curious. Hold on a second. I'm getting some messages here that I don't want to get. Brian, congrats on your grandchild. I have 3. It's awesome. Well, I only have the one so far. Granddaughter will be here in let's see. Well, December 10th. That's the date that's been selected. My daughter-in-law has to have a C-section, and so they selected December 10th. Angry Andy, that's the exterior color code W8. Interior code is base black. Okay. Dawn says maybe it had a yellow vinyl top. That's a thought. I don't know for sure. Nick, I just had to figure out a way to maybe create a backer to keep the edge nice and straight. They have glass grinders for stained glass that kind of do that, but they don't look sturdy. Let's see. Way to create a backer to keep the edge nice and straight. Okay. Yeah. Because you have to definitely be careful, like clamping the glass in something. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to, so that you have a straight edge to work to. Guess I haven't really thought about that much. But good point. Mason, my grandpa's shop garage, he's working on putting insulation on. What's the best way to keep the heat in, even with the garage door shut? We still get cold air coming from the garage door. Mason, is it a roll-up door? Is it a roll-up style door? Are you getting air around the channels? Because I have a video out there where I put on this door Memtech brush company, and I put those on this door, and it has pretty much eliminated airflow coming around the door. So you can look that up and see if that helps. Dawn, I get to meet my granddaughter Selah on Friday. Cool. A great granddaughter. Oh wow. Okay. I'm not in that realm yet. No hurry for that. Angry Andy saying, Dawn, that's a possibility. Consider roof doesn't seem like it had a vinyl top on it. Well, you should, if you had a vinyl top. Now I don't know the condition of the car. You should have some sort of trim reference, because there had to be a stop line for the vinyl, and then the trim would finish it out. So if there's any holes in the roof pillars, that's usually a giveaway. Also, if it did have a vinyl top, you would find basically like nails driven into the frame or the windshield frame rails. Windshield and back glass, they had these little nails that they drove in and locked them in. So you could look underneath where the studs are for the trim to attach, and see if there's any kind of nails in there. Oh, Mason, no, my garage door is an automatic garage door with a garage door opener. Well, that's still fine. It doesn't matter if it's an automatic door or not. Look up my brush video, garage door brush video, and Memtech brush, MEMTECH, or MEMTEC. I don't know, one of those. But it doesn't matter if it's an automatic door or manual door. It doesn't matter. The brushes attach outside and actually make contact with the door. So get a look at that. You might find something. Jorge, hi Barry, I just got in. I'm glad you're here. Hope all is well with you. Nick, or possibly just get a belt sander with a glass grinding belt to get to the final. Let the diamond do the heavy work. I don't know. I'll figure it out somehow. Yeah. Well, as soon as you started talking about that, I'm like, well, what could you attach? And I immediately started overthinking the thing. You know, like if you had a guide roller that you could set a depth adjustment on it, you know, to where you're grinding and the guides would touch. Say you clamped it between two pieces of wood, two little pieces of soft pine, and then you could come up with a drop depth. I'm overthinking all this, but anyway, you get the idea. Mason, I'll do that. Okay, Nick, I've been told some glass installers will do it for you too if you have a way to tell them what you want. Yeah, that's the hard part. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Brian, I hate to be redundant, but I still need a set of 69 351 Cleveland valve covers. Yep. Anybody have a set of 69 351 Cleveland valve covers? I know you said those were unique. I don't remember what was unique about them specifically. Jerry, horizontal belt sander to square the glass, or horizontal or vertical belt sander. Yeah. I guess it depends on what he has available that he can use. I don't know where Robert's at. He must be fighting with his internet or something. But hopefully he gets here. I'm trying to roll around a junkyard story. You know, there's so many things that maybe aren't too impressive when it comes to junkyard stories. When I think about stuff that we've done, and there's Robert. All right, let me see here. All right, let's get Robert on the stream.
Okay,
hey, there he is.
I had to go through about 4 different browsers. I couldn't get it to talk to the camera, so finally, I go to the last one. I unplug it from one port, plug it into another one, and it works.
Sometimes it's where you hit it.
I don't know. I haven't used this computer in 6 months, so it had a bunch of updates, and it took forever to finally finish all that. So you know how that goes, but
hey, it
works.
Yeah.
So
what's going on with the car?
Well, it's kind of bare right now. I've got everything that's attached to it is taken off at this point, to the point where I'm finally going to start building some sort of rotisserie for it, just so I can work on the bottom. And you know, in most of the ones you see are these, you know, big, massive metal things, and they're huge structures. And I'm like, why? The car weighs like 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and just to show you here, I'll actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that or not, but
yep.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it weighs what, 300 pounds, 400 pounds at most. So I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, I went through and dug up all my square tubing, and I'm like, you know, after I pick it up and mess with it, it's like, why am I going to waste all this square tubing on something that doesn't weigh anything? So I'm just going to build something out of wood.
You need to build the
It,
tip
it'll
jig.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that, but everybody else has done that, you know.
It
So
works.
yeah, it does. It does. It does. But I've already got the car that high off the ground,
Yeah.
so that means I have to go back down.
It doesn't weigh
But
anything.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I could pick it up here, just move the jack stands and set it back down. So yeah, it's just it's going to be something just really simple that anybody could build. I mean, that's kind of the idea. And
Okay.
for rotating it, I've got these little guys here that I picked up a while ago. You know what that is, right?
That's isn't that a hub for a lawnmower?
Yeah, for the deck for the mower. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, there's your hub,
Yeah.
bearings. Just mount both ends to that, and just use that.
Okay. That sounds interesting.
That was at from I don't remember. There was a store called Sears at one time,
Yeah, a
and they
long
used to
time
have,
ago.
yeah, and they used to have these outlet stores. And well, when I was in the outlet store, they had those things for $5 a piece. So I was like, okay, I'll grab a couple of them and use that.
You're
So
slightly out of focus.
I don't know. It's her camera.
No, you're getting there. You're getting there. There you are. Now you're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't like me walking around, I
Yeah.
guess. Oh, and you're talking about your relays.
Yeah.
Okay. I was digging out my collection of stuff while I was waiting for the computer. What you can use are, and all this stuff is numbers, so I can reorder it. Is if you want to do two of them, these little relay sockets, and they just kind of slip together, so you can
Okay.
gang two of them together.
Okay.
These are the things I used to have a whole bunch of these and went through a bunch of them. If I really like the GM stuff, the weather pack stuff,
Yeah.
because you can also get like the little fuse holders, and these are just so nice and generic. They got a little mounting hole.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And just little stuff like that.
Well, see, you were just showing those that relay you had. This one
it's just,
it has a slot in the side of it too, like you could slide two of these together.
yeah. I know there's a couple of different ones.
Yeah.
And I've seen some different ones, but this is, I don't know if yours has the little mounting hole on there or not.
It does up on the
upper. Oh, okay.
piece.
Yours is on the yours is on the relay.
On the actual relay itself.
Yeah.
But I only have one of these, and I don't know how hard it's going to be to get a copy. Get the same thing because I want the wiring to be the same.
It just, if it were me, I just would build it from scratch.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've looked on Amazon. There's kits you can buy two relays, all the wiring for like, I don't know, $20 or something.
Yeah, I've seen those too, and it's just like, if you don't have the stuff lying around, then just buy the kit.
Right.
It's just so much cheaper. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the next thing is going to be flipping this thing over. And I will. Well, I am going to do a video. I've got mostly made up about flaring the hole for the steering column. Where you have to punch that hole for the steering column and to flare that out. And it turned out really well for a block of wood.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's amazing what you can build from wood and have it as a guide.
Yeah. And it just, well, I kind of broke some things in the process, but it ended up there eventually. Yeah.
Let me just check in and see what else we have going on here. Oh, Mason says he got an Australia hat from Greg's workshop. Cool. Got it today. Nice. Dave Britton says hello. Brian, the script is different on the valve covers for the Cleveland engine. He's looking for these specific script on the valve covers. Nick saying, "What's up, Robert?"
Oh, not much. The leaves are coming down though. Finally.
Oh, they're pretty much down here. I think the oak trees are the only ones holding on right now.
That's what we have is oak trees. We've got dozens of them, and was about a couple days ago. All of a sudden, one morning, it was like, okay, fall's here. and it
Yeah,
just
that's kind of what our
all of a
maples
sudden,
just went, okay, we're done. But the
yeah,
oak tree is still hanging on. So
yeah, ours just it went from a couple leaves on the ground, all of a sudden it's covered the next morning.
yeah,
So yeah, I got to start bagging them up or something.
I just run over with my mower multiple times and let them rot into the ground. I don't care.
I do that to a point, but there's just so many of them. It ends up into this, goopy mass when it rains because it doesn't break down. Yeah, you have this
Yeah,
stuff called rain.
yeah,
We don't have
occasionally.
that.
Dave Britton is saying that car is not light. He's just super strong.
No, I'm
does
not
not
that
does
strong.
not know it.
The back end is heavier, though. I will say that
Oh
it's a
yeah,
little
yeah.
heavier when you pick up the back.
Angry Andy, by the way, great video this past week, Robert. It's tough to force yourself to do certain tasks and gave me motivation to keep working too. So you
Oh,
got a shout out from Angry Andy.
oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah. Those dents were something I just kept putting off. Didn't want to do it. You just have those things.
Yeah. Dave Conville says for rotisserie, 2 Harbor
Yeah,
Freight engine stands, widen the base and connect with square stock.
yeah,
Could do
yeah.
that.
But I've got everything else on hand to do what I want to do. So yeah. I don't
And
need any more engine stands.
yeah, Nick says you better cut some grass with that Mustang now because you got the
Well, I will have to admit that when I did initially get the Mustang here, I put it in the garage, and then about a week or two later, decided, okay, I got the shop cleared out, so I got the mower, hooked up a strap to it. We just pulled the car around. I figured, okay, I'm going to park it out in front of the shop, and I'm going to pressure wash all the dirt and crap off before I pull it in the shop. See, and I should know better because our dirt is not dirt; it's sand. So yeah, he got stuck. It just sank. It sank, and actually, it's hard to see now, but there's actually some skid marks from the lawnmower from spinning the tires on the mower, pulling it into the shop here. Yeah, it was interesting, and it was I had her on the mower at one point, and I had 2x4s and 4x4s, and I'm just levering it up to try to get it moving, and
yeah,
I was like, yeah, I knew better. I knew
yeah,
better. Or at
yeah.
least should have washed it further away from the shop, and that way, because I have a little bit of a hill going in, do it further away
Oh,
so
okay.
like I could get a running start once I get going.
Right.
But yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Fortunately, nobody filmed it.
Oh. Well, I'll be curious as to what you come up with to make your rotisserie.
Well, like I said, it's simple. It just anybody could do it. It'll be just, but it's one of those that I have an idea, and it's just one of those projects that as you build it, you will design it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I'm
it's just,
definitely that's kind of how I'm doing with the radiator right now in Jade. I'm like, get a vision. This sort of
mhm.
worked. Well, let me revise that and try it again. Okay, that's better, kind of thing. So
Now my question on that radiator was, you put a cross flow in the Mustang that will not be named, correct?
no, I don't think that's a cross. It's not a crossflow. That's
Okay,
a Griffin radiator. It's a Griffin,
okay,
but it's not. I don't
but
think it's a crossflow.
it was just the 67, 68 then, or 69 or
Yeah,
something like
it
that.
was a
It was
later
just a bigger
model.
one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I
it was not
just
a
for
crossflow.
some reason I kept thinking it was a cross flow.
No, no, I do have a somewhere up here in the rafters. There is I believe, a crossflow that's from the old stock car. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm not going to put that in. I'm going to work with what I have, and I think it'll be okay. But it's a lesson in um, don't assume, as we all talk about, don't assume that something's just going to fit because they say this should fit your car. No, it's going to take
Well,
a little more work
but
than that.
it fit in the car.
Yeah, it does. It fits in the
It fits
car.
in the trunk.
Well, if it's
It
in the
fits in the
trunk,
back
yeah,
seat. Doesn't
yeah,
mean that it actually fits where it's supposed to go.
right, right. Just have to, uh, you know, realize you're going to have to make some modifications.
Yeah. Well, and it was like, I got the wiring harness the other day, and that's one of the other projects is because I'm going to run different wiring. It's like I wanted to have it on hand, get an idea of what needs to go where, and then the other issue is come up is I've been looking at, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well go with one of the aftermarket steering columns that has kind of the I did it style, and you can
Right.
get those for $180 these days for the off-brand ones. And I'll cut it down shorter because I'm probably going to put electric power steering in it. Is probably the plan. And then you got the
Right.
GM connectors, so that plugs right in for the turn signals and all that. Makes life a little easier.
Yeah. Looking, I had some other comments here on the side.
Yeah, I can. I was kind of looking at it too.
Dawn is or Dave. A question for both of you guys: do you make some kind of a schedule, set dates to try to keep you focused, motivated, or just flow with it? I don't have anything. I mean, I just know every day I'm going to get up and come out here in the garage. I just know I'm going to be doing that regardless. But I don't have any kind of particular, nothing written down, or I want to get this done today. Sometimes it's bouncing around. Like I'm working on the radiator, and then I go, okay, let me step away from that for a minute because I need to let some stuff rattle around in my head. I'm gonna go do something else. So I don't have anything specific.
No,
No flow
and
chart.
yeah, and I'm the same way on stuff, and it's a lot of it has to do with what do I have materials for?
Yeah.
What if I got stuff for, some of it is, and there's some stuff where I've done where it's like, well, why have you primed and painted this? Where you're going to have to go back and kind of redo some areas here and there, but that just that's part of building a car slowly. Is you
Yeah.
do have to sometimes go back and resand and reprime things. That's just part of it.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. Got a couple of questions. So Ray had answered a question about the hood. Somebody was looking for a 67 hood, or Andy. Meyer Racing has a cowl hood with aluminum between fiberglass, closest he found with metal. Jorge, Barry, I have a question. Do you
Mm.
have extra light housing right side for 67 Mustang? Any chance? I do not.
Mm.
Sorry. Brian, hey Barry, if I can figure out my phone, can I show my Fairlane project? I sent you a link. Hopefully, you got it. If you
Mm-hmm.
can figure it out, you're welcome to join the chat. Um, War Wagon, I don't know what that comment was about. It's something that's passed. It doesn't always keep up with the quick comments. Nick says you better show that Fairlane, Brian. Love me some Fairlanes. And Dawn, Stank, you should not be named. Or shall not be named. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just answer this War Wagon. No. The answer is no, and it's not going to get finished here. It's moving on. It's going to another builder to get worked on. I'm done with all I'm going to do to that car. So, and Roger says I gotta love that. I gotta say I love probably the plan. So he's talking about your expression. I believe you said that. That's probably the plan. Nick, my head rattles too, Barry. Yep. Yep. Rick, I just try to get something done in the garage every day, one step at a time. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. Um, now we all have stuff going on in life. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And of course, with Robert knows now, making videos, filming stuff, editing stuff, uploading stuff, trying to keep up with all that. And of course, I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of stuff on Facebook. I get stuff on Instagram. There's lots of things that I get caught up in. And there may be some times where I may be working on something in the house, like editing a video that might take 2 or 3 hours, upload it, all those different things. And then, oh, it's lunchtime. Well, I better get some lunch. And then something else happens, and I realize I've got an hour or 2 hours. I go out in the garage. And I don't care if I'm just cleaning up. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
if I'm just putting stuff away, organizing, or just like the other day I come in here, I didn't have any time to do anything, but I managed to get this car with antifreeze in it because I knew I needed to get the antifreeze in. And I thought, well, I've got 30 minutes. Let me fire it up,
Mm-hmm.
cycle some antifreeze. Anything like that is progress. But that's how I do it.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll just if I'm like I don't exactly know what I want to do at the moment, I'll just go around and just start picking stuff up and putting it away.
Yeah,
Because the last project you did, you left stuff out, you did this. Just pick stuff up, put it away, and you'll look at other things and you'll think about it as you're doing it, and you may come up with a better way to do something,
yeah,
or you realize you have something else that you need to do.
yep, yep. Warwagon Barry has to do his honeydews first. Yeah, yeah. I got. In fact, it's funny you bring that up because today I was working on editing or well, let's say I was working on some video edits, and I'm in my computer room working on stuff, and my wife decides she wants to go to Target or whatever, get some stuff. So she tells me, "Hey, keep an eye on the dogs." Okay, I'll do that. Where are you going again? I'm going to Target. I'm going here. I'm going there. Okay. Do you want to go along? No. You sure? Nope. I don't want to go along. So she goes to the store. I'm still doing this stuff. I actually gotten some lunch and I'm working on what I was doing. She comes back in the house and she says, "Hey, where are the shears? I want to trim the crepe myrtles. We have one big crepe myrtle out in front of the house and two in the back." She says, "I want to trim those." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Oh, and can you come help me?"
We had one crepe myrtle, and
Yeah.
I took care of it with one cut.
Well, we've had these since we moved in
Well,
30 years ago.
this one is one of the ones that there's I know there's all different kinds, and this was one of these ones. It was when we bought the house. It was right next to the driveway, and it was one that just rained down sap like nothing else.
A
So
crepe
that was
myrtle?
yes, and it has to do with it's male or female or something like that. And you get certain ones or certain types. Some of them, no big deal. Other ones like this one, oh geez, it was like it was raining when you were underneath it. So
Really?
yeah, it was just with the chainsaw and it was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty trees, but this one, no.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to going to the store or going anywhere, yeah, she's over there in her little corner office playing video games. I make fun of her as like as well. She hasn't done it lately, but she's the oldest Twitch streamer.
Okay. Andy is saying thanks to Ray. Cassie's Drawings says hi. Hi, Cassie. Nick, I actually have a set, Jorge. I was trying to sell them with the fenders, but if you really need one, I don't know if he's talking about the front fenders. He was asking, Barry, I have a question. Do you have an extra light housing right for 67 Mustang? And I don't know if he means taillight housing. Because I don't know if he means fender or not, but you may be able to work something
I
out
still
there.
need those. I need those whole pieces on the front of the 66 because the ones that I have are destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, they destroyed, but the ones that went around the headlights themselves, I got from a friend of mine. Let me go grab them really quick.
Okay. Angry Andy is praying that some panels start being restocked. Been trying to find an upper cowl for the 6.7 for a couple of months now. Yeah. Cassie, well, it takes you a long time to edit. Yeah, depending on what I'm working on, because I could have footage. Sometimes I will film with two different cameras, and I may film a lot more than what I need to film, and then I have to go back and say, okay, this doesn't make sense. Let me back that out. Let me, splice this to this one, and kind of keep it a flow. And I think people appreciate that kind of flow that I do with the videos. Okay.
Yes, they chrome plated them.
All righty.
At some point, they chrome plated them.
Okay. I think I have some of those. Do you need some?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. I've tried to blast them, but it just
Okay. I have some of those.
yeah.
I have probably I have several of those.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get together on that. We'll get together on that.
Yeah. I might make a trip out one of these days and make you another rack of ribs on your grill.
That sounds good.
Since you have a grill that I can cook on now,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. Well, I haven't noticed that Brian, it says device is not connected. So Brian, the information on your link says they will need to connect their microphone camera before I can add you to the stream. So Brian, you have to figure that out.
And the thing I found is it doesn't like Opera. It doesn't really like Chrome. It works on whatever Microsoft Edge is now. Whatever.
Oh,
that
you're talking about the
the
phone,
the StreamYard thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a heck of a time getting it to work.
Okay. Strange.
I don't know.
Let me see what Marshall says. Howdy, folks. Found a new windshield on Craigslist and avoided shipping. Thankfully, Barry would paracord be too thin to use for installing the windshield. To use 5/16 that I don't have it on hand. No, paracord will work. All it really needs to do is roll that edge onto the interior. That's all. It's 550 cord paracord. That'll work fine.
I got a kick out of watching you do that because the last time I did that was on a Volkswagen doing it by myself.
Yeah.
On a Volkswagen Bug, and I just took one of those little quick grit clamps,
Yeah.
and I reached it around on the window and got a spot, pinched, and then I would reach around because it's a small car.
Yeah.
So you'd reach around from one side, you pull it out from the other side, and I just kept working my way around, and it got there, but it wasn't fun.
No,
it was not fun.
Well, I think I've actually done it without a rope.
Oh,
I think I've done it without a rope. To where I forget what the situation, but I was kind of like, got it started and just kind of took a thumb and just walked it up inside.
Yeah, and doing the Volkswagen, I remember I could set it in and I could get like most of the bottom all the way in.
Yeah.
And that was what I found. If you had something, you could just, reach and just, keep, working your way around and do it that way.
Well, here's something we did a car at the body shop one time. It was a Porsche. Probably the only Porsche I've ever worked on. And it was I don't know the numbers. It looked like a 911 type of Porsche. I know they have different numbers and stuff.
Looked like a traditional Porsche.
Traditional Porsche. It had the wing on it. And it may have been a 911. I don't even know. I don't care. But we were tasked with painting that car. And we did. But we had to take it apart first. Well, one thing we learned, and let's say it didn't go back together exactly the way it came apart. There was some sort of antenna in the windshield or in I forget how it was. Like we could get the glass out, but it had like actual little wires. Like the GM had the wires, the antenna in the glass.
Yeah, it had a little connector that would plug on there.
Yeah, this didn't have a connector.
Ooh.
This was like, I don't know where it went. There was no connector. It went into the dash. And by this time we were already like, oh, what do those do? But it didn't seem to make any difference. It didn't hurt. The radio worked and everything just like it did before. So it's like, well, I don't know what that means, but that was my only experience with a Porsche.
Well, it's just, it's a Volkswagen with, it's been prettied up a little bit.
Well, have you seen, there's some TV shows out like The Cars That Build America or the People That Build America or whatever. And they did things special on like Harley Davidson. They did it on Ford. They've done it on the oil companies. They've done it on, the People That Build America. And they did this one on Volkswagen. And they were talking about, of course, the people's car and all these, building the first Volkswagen and Beetle and all that. And the father and son who had built the company decided they wanted to take and build a racier version, let's say. And it was pretty amazing. They took basically a Beetle and they rehammered the metal and turned it into the first Porsche.
Hmm.
And it wasn't like they did anything like they made new dies or anything. They just handmade all the shape that they wanted and said, okay, here we go. This is our Porsche, Porsche or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the Spider, I think, is what it was. And that's how it got started.
Hmm.
It was basically just, as we know, a Volkswagen, but they just kind of reshaped the body and said, okay, it's a sports car now.
I was thinking about that windshield that Nick was talking about. Did he? I'm assuming he bought the one that is made to be, fit our cars without the trim.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because you don't know what size the car is going to be, it's got to be bigger.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that, and no, I'm not. I wouldn't mind having it, but I'm not going to go through that effort to do it.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, I'm all for taking the drip rails off. I mean, I would totally black out the car. I would. I mean, I'm talking all the chrome trim. I would powder coat everything black, and I would totally black everything out. But
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of stuff to do because there's so much chrome on these cars.
Yeah.
And I've seen a few. There's a Chevelle that somebody did. I saw there was a picture of it a while back. It looked really good. They did a really good job on it.
So we're talking about, keeping stuff going in the shop. Don says, keep the forward momentum, just keep swimming. Bob Shoemaker plans get derailed like mine with the surfacer crashing. Always something to stop work progress. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiva, thank you for your time, guys. It's interesting for me, even though I do not understand some English mechanic words. Bye-bye from Tahiti, and thank you again. That was pretty cool. We had not had anybody from Tahiti before, so that was really cool.
That's all right. A lot of people here don't understand the words either. So.
Well, it's like you use the word finicky, and I'm like,
well, I was typing really fast, and
yeah, I know, but I mean, I've never typed the word finicky before, so it was like, how do you spell that? Gosh, how does that work? Is that a real word?
Well, I kind of glanced at it. It was like, because it showed a little red underneath. It's like, yeah, it's close enough. It's close enough. Just leave it.
So Dawn is talking to Cassie, it's Shelby. So if you don't know, Cassie's drawing is Shelby. She's been, I did a video, viewers project video with her and her dad and her brother. So Dawn's telling her he sometimes spends hours, sometimes a whole day editing. And she's just checking up and she's showing my friends your videos. Okay, cool.
I have my little table next to my chair in the living room that has a monitor screen sitting on it, and I have a laptop or a wireless keyboard in my lap and the mouse over here, and I'm watching TV while I'm editing. So that's why my videos are so well edited.
Yeah,
that's an attention to detail and quality, editing right there.
Well, see, what I end up doing is because I've had it where I've lost footage. So if I may have been editing for an hour or two, and then all of a sudden, poof, everything's gone. So what I've been trying to do is I will edit an hour or half hour, and then I'll save that, and then edit, save that. But when you do that, you have to do before I export it. What's the other word they use? There's another word you do. It's like a render. They do like a render first, and then you can export it. So when I click on that to render it, it may take 10 or 15 minutes for that render to happen because it just has to process all that stuff. So I'm still on my laptop or my computer, and I just play chess. I just play chess for that time period, get done with chess. Okay. There it is. I'm good to go.
Mm-hmm. I've got a network hard drive set up so I can just save stuff, and anything I want to save that not on that computer, I can just save it to that network hard drive.
Scott Himmel, beige is a good color to hide bad bodywork. Yeah.
Well, maybe I should paint it beige then.
Nick, I may have that too. Actually, I don't need them technically because I have a white board that the LED is attached to for the taillights. I thought about making a shallower box for them anyway. So he's talking about a variation on the back. So I don't know if he can still get with whoever was looking for parts. Flypoo says, hi. Dawn's manufacturer, I do it sans rope, made a tool out of a screwdriver to roll the gasket. So that's basically, the alternative. And Nick, only thing is, why would we need a right one for the taillight? They go to either side. It has to mean the headlights, I would think. I'm not sure exactly what the question was, as far as what they were looking for. I thought maybe they were talking about an extension for the quarter. But I don't know. Let's see. Jorge, Barry, I have a question. Do you have an extra light housing right side? Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Jorge, let me check. I don't have one. There is a junkyard that shows that they have a 67 in their junkyard.
Yeah.
I'll get with them and see if that car is still there. If it is, let's see what's available on it.
Let me see. Nick says, you got some more info on that tool, Don. I left my back window stock because I want the trim back there. And he says he can send a pic. So, Dave, years ago I worked at a Porsche dealer, and they are quite well-made cars. Motor Trend Car of the Year many times. Yeah, they're well-made cars. I won't argue that.
Oh yeah, it's just not my thing. Just I'm not a Porsche person.
Yeah.
I admire it. As the engineering feat that it is.
Yeah,
just not my thing.
No. Dave Conville, the History Channel Built series shows are excellent. Yeah, I love those shows. Yeah. I love those cars that built America, the blah 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 that built so and so, whatever. Pretty amazing.
I'm big into the history stuff of everything.
Yeah.
Even more so with mechanical stuff and construction and things like that.
Well, I'm always amazed at engineering marvels, stuff like that, or engineering catastrophes where a bridge collapses and they're like, what happened? Well, this little tiny bolt broke over here and the whole thing fell apart. It's like, oh.
Speaking of parts, I have some tie rod ends for 65, 66 with power steering. New ones. I've got a couple new ones. I actually bought a pair of the vent because I have one of my vent windows, the big at the front, the little tang that stuck down was broken. I picked up a pair of those from a guy locally for $50, along with a box full of other stuff. And I've got at least two tie rods for a power steering car. I'm not sure which ones they are. So if anybody wants those things, just ask, because I will never have a use for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, actually, they're right here.
So Don is saying that he edits his story for visual, then render, then import to my DAW to clean up. Yep. Audio and add voiceover and music and master to broadcast standard, then export the audio back to Premiere for the final render. That's not like you're doing a lot of back and forth. Like I do all that in one editing program. My Wondershare Filmora program, I can do all that. I can do voiceover. I can do. I can add music. I'm hearing something hitting the roof. Like I don't know if it's starting to rain or not. I can do all that stuff.
Because I use Power Director, which is it works very it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Is what you use. But see, there's the other one. I mean, it's brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, it came from CJ Pony Parts at one time. Even had a price on the tag, so it's probably
double that now.
A few years. Yeah. It was $26.95 when this one was bought.
Yeah.
But like I said, I have no use for it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. And I've not had any luck selling a lot of that kind of stuff. So,
yeah,
it's like if somebody wants it, it's yours. I don't care. I'm not going to pay to ship it, but if somebody wants it, they can have it.
Nick says, I got tired of just reading that process. Don, you guys do this you guys that do this are heroes. Really, too much for me. Also, how do I get your How do I get you my info, Dawn? You guys send me emails. So anybody who needs to get with somebody else, send me an email and who you want to contact. So Jerry, if you want to send me an email to Dawn, or for Nick, or whatever, Dawn, whatever the sequence is, send me an email, contact me with so and so, and then the other guy send me an email, contact me with so and so, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and mine's really easy. Just start typing in my thing, my channel name, and then it just pops up in Gmail. Once you actually start typing it in, it'll actually autocomplete it because it's
really?
listed in a Gmail. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Jerry, I forget who was supposed to contact Jerry, but Jerry sent me his information, but I forget who he needed to contact. So I'm getting a lot of that crossover.
That was over 5 minutes ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with. Dave, I have to cut out, Barry, and everyone. Have a good evening. Thanks. A good Thanksgiving. Be safe. Yes. Yeah, and I'm going to have to cut out too. I'm realizing now how late it is. It's already 2 hours into this. It's 9:00 here in Georgia.
And, and one quick thing, I got a text message from somebody inside that was, she said, "Thanks for throwing me under the bus when I was talking about her being the gamer type." So to recoup some of that, she spent most of last month and the month before up at her mom's because her mom had a second stroke and all that. And I will say, and she has done an extraordinarily good job up there taking care of her.
Yeah.
And just and doing all that stuff. I mean, she is she's got a lot more patience than I do. Let's put it that way.
So, I understand that.
Yeah, she has done really good. So that way she knows, and maybe that'll cover up part.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, I'm gonna pull you off, and I'm glad you were here.
Right.
Maybe we can do some more of this later on. Get some more interaction going. But I'm glad you participated at least briefly. And
I'll try to get I'll have a video up by Thanksgiving because I'm having ribs. I don't know what you guys are having.
That sounds good. That sounds good to me. All right. Well, thanks again. We'll see you later, Robert. All right. So as I said, that'll be the end of this live stream for me. I don't know if I'll be here on Thursday or not. I'm sure everybody's going to be busy, so I may not even plan to do a Thursday live stream, not in the middle of Thanksgiving and all. So we'll probably just cancel Thursday now and say we'll be back here on Monday night at 7. I am working on some more videos, obviously, and, try to get those, at least something up this week. There's lots going on, family stuff and all those sort of things. By all means, have a good Thanksgiving. Spend time with your families. Share the love with each other, and enjoy your time together. There's plenty of people in this world who have lost loved ones to various things over the past year or two, and all kinds of crazy people in the world doing crazy things. But take some time and enjoy your families, and that'll be it. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.